Welcome back to the Den. It's Porter here, and today we will be discussing the rookies that I believe have true league winning upside in 2025. I know you want to win that trophy, and a key part of getting there is identifying the right rookies and selecting them at the right ADP to give you a leg up on your league mates on your way to that trophy. So we'll be breaking down some prospects today and also talking about what the criteria are for what really makes someone a true league winner. So thanks for stopping by, and let's jump right into it. So at the end of every fantasy football season, ESPN releases a really good article that breaks down the most owned players on championship rosters. And I think this is a pretty relevant place to look because it really does cover a central hub of a lot of home leagues, right? A lot of us are competing on ESPN, or you may be more on like the best ball side of things, and those advance rates look a little bit different. But in your home leagues, last season on ESPN, Jahmyr Gibbs was the most rostered player by league winners at 29%. And if we look at what he did, he was very solid throughout the season, but it wasn't until his playoff stretch in week 15 through 18 where he started to dominate, partially because of an injury to David Montgomery. So we kind of see in week 15, 23 points, week 16, 21, week 17, 22. And if you're in a league where your championship goes to week 18, you got 41 points out of Jahmyr Gibbs. So he really solidified his league winner status with the run that he had, but he also did enough to get you there in the first place. There's also a guy like Jonathan Taylor who's not on this list, where he had a very dominant run in the playoffs, but you probably didn't make the playoffs if you had Jonathan Taylor because he wasn't doing enough for you in the season. So to me, when I'm really thinking about this idea of a league winner, I'm envisioning a player who I think will be good enough to contribute at their ADP or ahead of their ADP during the regular season, and then be primed for a huge playoff stretch. And that's something that's pretty likely to happen with rookies because historically they perform better after their bye week. So there's that post bye rookie bump. That's really when everything clicks for them because think about it. Being an NFL player is not just about what you're doing on the field. You have a lot to adjust to, just understanding the ins and outs and logistics of being an NFL player. And then on top of that, it's figuring out to perform. So usually at that bye week, you get the time to rest, slow down, and then come back and smash the season after your bye week. And going back to this list that ESPN put out, there were 4 rookies on our list last season. It was Bucky Irving was the number 4 most rostered player by championship teams, partially because he gave you RB1 production when he was drafted at pick 167. Brock Bowers was the 5th most rostered player. He gave you the tight end 1 overall production, and you got him at pick 116. Brian Thomas, a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy, and you got him at pick 121. He was the 9th most rostered player. And then Malik Neighbors was the 10th most rostered player on championship teams, and he was taken a bit earlier around pick 43 in drafts. So I don't think this rookie class is as high end in talent as last year's was. We had some true generational talents in the 2024 draft class, but there are some names that I really do think we can see on this list next season. So what I'm looking for with these players is, do I like their odds at crushing their ADP? You know, not necessarily being number 1 at their position like Brock Bowers did, but can they really crush that ADP? And then are they primed with a really good playoff stretch where I can kind of envision them exploding for your fantasy football teams when you need them the most? So the first name on this list, just an absolutely electric player, and that is Travis Hunter, the wide receiver / cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And right now, Travis Hunter is going around pick 64 in ESPN PPR leagues, and that puts him at the wide receiver 28. So Travis Hunter is being drafted around guys like Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones, George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco. He's going behind guys like Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers, Xavier Worthy, Devontae Smith. I like Travis Hunter's explosiveness and just the absolute upside that he has to finish well above everyone else in his range. So I think that's what we're identifying first, is that Travis Hunter's ADP right now does not line up at all with the talent. And I promise you, if he was strictly a wide receiver, he would be going significantly higher than this. The big concern with Travis Hunter is this overreaction to playing both sides of the ball. And I do understand that that can really increase his opportunities to get injured. And I'm not trying to bet on that with fantasy football. I'm looking at the best possible outcome and the upside when trying to win my leagues. And Travis Hunter absolutely has that. And we are seeing it is a bit more of an even split right now, even just based on what he logged in their most recent scrimmage. He played 38 snaps, and 17 of them were on offense, where 21 were on defense. So that isn't cause for panic for me, because on those 17 snaps that he played offensively, he had 3 catches for 43 yards. So he's already commanding volume on the routes that he is running on the field. And I am expecting him to be well over 70% of the snaps on offense this season. So it's not really a concern that I have. What I am betting on is his talent. And this chart from Matt Harmon, Reception Perception, just a really good follow on Twitter/X. Travis Hunter has one of the best reception profiles that's been charted. He is all green, proving that he can win at all levels of the field. He's winning on his deep routes, his short routes, as well as in the intermediate. And he finished 92nd percentile success rate versus man, 97th percentile success rate versus zone, and 97th percentile success rate versus press. So Travis Hunter absolutely has the ability, but you're getting him essentially at a discount because he's expected to play both sides of the ball. But depending on your leagues, that actually could be a good thing as well. Most leagues, the standard format really has all touchdowns being worth 6 points. So like including return touchdowns and like kick return touchdowns, as well as pick sixes. So in most leagues, you don't even have to be in an IDP league. Travis Hunter has extra touchdown upside on the defensive side of the ball. So I looked at it as a positive in some ways, because I think when he is on the field offensively, this team's going to use him. And right after that Friday night scrimmage, Liam Cohen pretty much just had one sentence to say about Travis Hunter, saying, "It's fun seeing him in space, isn't it?" So they know what they're doing there, and I'm all in on this GM in Gladstone and Cohen utilizing Travis Hunter to his ability and being smart with where they're using him on offense and defense. So I think they're going to get the most out of him. And he truly has top 12 upside to me as a rookie. And his playoff stretch, he gets the Jets, the Broncos, and then the Colts. And you may feel like the Jets and Broncos are pretty bad matchups. However, I think otherwise, because their primary concern is going to be stopping Brian Thomas. I think he will draw Sauce and he'll draw Surtain, which just opens things up for Travis Hunter on the opposite side of the field. T. Higgins was a true league winner last year because he had a 40-point performance against the Broncos. Since all of their emphasis was on stopping Chase, he was able to just absolutely explode as the second option. So I think that's really what you could have there in Travis Hunter. So I'm putting my stake down now for that in that Denver matchup in week 16, he's going to absolutely explode and carry you to your championship. So I'm excited about Travis Hunter. I think he's an absolute steal at his ADP. I'm very comfortable reaching for him. And if you can get him, you're making a good decision. The next name on my list is Panthers wide receiver Tetaroia McMillan, who does not go by Tet, as he has made it clear with the media. So we'll be calling him T-Mac, as that is a preferred nickname. But right now, you can get T-Mac at pick 69 in your redraft leagues, and that's wide receiver 30. So he's in the same range as Travis Hunter, but he is a little bit below. So if you want both these guys, you're definitely going to have to reach. And if you're at like a swing pick, no problem taking these two back to back. T-Mac finds himself in a situation where he should be the clear alpha from day one. I do like Jalen Coker. I think Xavier Legette will have some fun manufactured touches. And Thielen has shown that he certainly still has some juice in his career. But really, it's not going to take long for Bryce to just realize that T-Mac's down there somewhere. So he has a massive radius. This is a freak athlete, 6'5", 214 pounds, but he is smooth with his routes. So he, isn't the most, he's not a speed guy, but that's not how you have to win in the NFL. You can absolutely win with your size and contested catches. And he just has the catch radius that every quarterback dreams of. I think Bryce Young's going to be finding him early and often, and particularly Young is going to love targeting him in the red zone. And we've seen Dave Canales be successful with big-bodied receivers during his time in Tampa Bay. We saw what he was able to do with Mike Evans, right? 1,000-yard, double-digit touchdowns, pretty much the standard. And I think we're going to get the same thing with McMillan. And we could get that as early as this season. So to get him at wide receiver 30, just like Travis Hunter, he does have top 12 wide receiver upside to me as early as this year. And we already looked at Hunter's ADP, but McMillan's in the similar range, right? So he's still going below George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, and he's just ahead of Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Mark Andrews, Jerry Jeudy, a lot of players that just, what you're going to get, and there's not a lot of upside there. So when I'm on the clock and this is the situation I have, McMillan's an absolute smash pick for me. And not only am I excited about his profile, but his production is absurd. I mean, this man was putting up ridiculous performances in college week after week, including a 300-yard, 4-touchdown performance early on in the college football season last year. He's the only player that had a 300-yard game with 3+ touchdowns and an average of 30 yards per catch or higher. And he gets the team commitment with the top 10 draft capital, being selected at number 8 overall. And this list is pretty good for receivers. The only misses we have are Corey Davis, John Ross, and Kevin White. But the other players on this list that were able to put up a top 12 wide receiver performance, not necessarily in their rookie year, but just in general, includes Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, and then still to be determined on Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison, McMillan, and Travis Hunter. But I think it is very possible that if he's not a top 12 receiver, he should be pretty close. I feel comfortable with him finishing definitely in the top 20, pushing the top 15 in this rookie season. So I'm very comfortable getting him at his wide receiver 30 price. And he has a pretty juicy playoff schedule as well. They're going to be on the road in the Dome in New Orleans in week 15, and then in what should be a shootout with Tampa Bay, because that defense hasn't really been able to stop anyone in recent memory. And then his final matchup in week 17, unless you're in a week 18 league, which you need to get out of, but in your week 17 championships, he has Seattle, which is somewhat of a tough draw, but even looking at the data from what they were able to do against wide receiver ones last year, where they did limit yardage, they were still allowing a good amount of catches to wide receiver ones, and they were allowing a lot of touchdowns to wide receiver ones. So if that trend can continue, I think McMillan still has the multiple touchdown game performance profile where he can absolutely still crush in that championship matchup. And I think he has all of the physical tools and opportunity to get you to that point. The next wide receiver and the final wide receiver on this list is the Bucs receiver Emeka Egbuka, who right now you can get way too late. He's going at pick 119, which is wide receiver 48. So he's being drafted as a low-end wide receiver 4 in 12-team leagues, which is a mistake. You need to take him earlier than that. His path to greatness is actually easier than you think. So the reason that he's falling this low is because he's on a team with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It's that simple. So instantly people are thinking that he is number 3 in the pecking order, which is somewhat true. But we know the Buccaneers like to run 3 wide receiver sets. And even just last season, Jalen McMillan was a version of a league winner down the stretch of your leagues last year as the wide receiver 3. in Tampa Bay. Although also, I mean, I guess he was more of the wide receiver too with Godwin going down. But Godwin isn't quite healthy to start this year. We don't really have a lot of updates on his return. And Egbuka himself, I think even as the wide receiver 3, he can very much contribute just with how pass happy this Bucs offense is. And I know we don't have Liam Cohen there anymore, but I'm not expecting them to just revert to a run first offense at all. I think they're still going to have their identity be centered around Baker Mayfield slinging the ball. And Baker Mayfield, he absolutely loves Emeka Egbuka. He said the thing he was looking forward to the most is playing with Emeka Egbuka. He's an absolute stud. He's the real deal. So I'm all in, and I believe that Baker's going to have a lot of fun targeting him. Egbuka's a really nice player who can play in the slot, but can play outside as well. And he is one of 2 Ohio State wide receivers in history to have 2 1,000-yard seasons. The only other player to do it is Marvin Harrison Jr., who he'll be fine. Let's not worry too much about him. But Egbuka, you're getting way late, and this is criminal that his ADP is below the Philadelphia Eagles DST. People are taking defenses before Emeka Egbuka in your home leagues. You will not be that person. Do not make that mistake. Go get him. And while I do think he will be valuable on his own as the wide receiver 3, I mean, let's look at this playoff schedule. It's Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami. So you have 3 potential shootouts with this high passing offense in Tampa Bay. I'm fine even if he's the number 3 receiver, but he does have a really large built-in upside with Chris Godwin having, recovering from this injury, and Mike Evans just getting older, and he's been dealing with hamstring issues really pretty consistently for the last few years. So I'm not treating this list as if someone gets hurt, Egbuka's a league winner. I think he can very much do it with everyone healthy, but he does have extreme upside if someone ahead of him were to go down. Just the way that he plays, he's going to be an absolute stud in PPR leagues, and you're passing on defenses to go draft him. So I am safe to say I am all in on Emeka. All right, thank you for sticking around this far. For all of you true loyal members of the Den, to reward you and just get so excited for football season, I'm going to be giving away a digital code for Madden 26 on your platform of choice. And how you enter in this is really simple. So just take the time to do it. You have a good shot at winning. All you need to do is make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you like this video, and then scroll down to the comment section. I'll have a pinned comment there with a question. All you need to do is respond to my pinned comment, and that automatically enters you in this drawing. The game releases on August 14th, so I'm going to pick a winner before 8 p.m. on August 13th, just to make sure that I can get you that code. You can download it and play on launch day. So if you do win, I will reply back to your comment in the thread below and just give you some follow-up details, and I'll just need some information on where to send you that code, and then the game will be yours. So thanks for supporting this channel. We're so close to hitting 100 subscribers. I think we're going to do it really soon. So consider this an early thank you, just with all my excitement about the channel and about the season kicking off. And done with the receivers here. Let's move on to some running backs. And the first name here is Omarion Hampton, the running back for the Chargers, drafted in round 1 of the NFL draft. And he does have a decently high ADP. He's going as the RB17 at pick 44. Now, the Chargers did bring in Najee Harris as a free agent, and they gave him some pretty decent money on a 1-year deal. So, of course, Hampton's long-term outlook is great in this Greg Roman system. But I do expect Hampton to really run away with this job before like the midway point of the season. Najee Harris unfortunately has the setback with the terrible fireworks accident that gave him an eye injury. And as of now, he still has no timetable to return to practice. Right now, they're saying that he's just walking laps at practice. So he's not even really engaged in the football activity. So I think Hampton's going to have a bigger role even earlier on. And we got to see our first action of Hampton in the Hall of Fame game, which I don't want to overreact to. I think he had 3 runs. One of them, a lot of people are discussing because he tried to cut an outside run inwards, and then he could not get a first down. He was trying to score. People are saying it's reminiscent of that Tony Pollard Cowboys run 2 seasons ago. But I'm not judging the negative that we saw there because on his other 2 runs, I think he showed you exactly why the Chargers drafted him. He had great cuts and vision and was not afraid of contact. And this is a big guy with a great athletic profile. I mean, he's an absolute monster. His relative athletic score is a 9.78. And he's just a big dude that's going to be able to handle a full workload in the NFL. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can do everything that you need your running back to do. And that first round draft capital is really on his side. When running backs are drafted in round 1, they typically hit as well. And while you do have to spend, a 4th round pick on him, he's going around names like Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Joe Mixon, Sam Laporta, and Courtland Sutton. And there's a couple names on that list that I may consider, but I'm very comfortable taking Hampton there at that RB17 price because I think he has RB12 upside. And dare I say, I think he has RB5 upside as well. This is a good offense that's going to want to run the ball. We know that that's what Greg Roman likes to do. And the good thing is this is a good Chargers team. They're going to have red zone opportunities for Hampton. So he is very high touchdown upside. And then just what you're going to get with the amount of touches he has on this field. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at drafting him here. I think he's kind of being drafted at his floor, to be honest. I don't really see him falling past RB17. So that's what I think makes him a really good selection. And then in his playoff schedule, he has Kansas City, who, they're been a pretty decent and above average run defense. And you have Dallas, and then you have Houston, who's a good run defense. But the reason I'm not really worried about his playoff schedule specifically is I like this Chargers offensive line, and I just like the offense as a whole. They're going to be in game. So if Hampton was on like a much worse team with this type of schedule, where I felt like the offensive line was just going to get bullied and they wouldn't stand a chance, he may not have made the cut here for this specific topic. But I'm not too worried there. And I think that Dallas matchup, especially if Micah Parsons is gone, but even if Micah's there, I think they're going to be able to exploit that. The teams have been running all over Dallas for 2 years in a row. So you could have an absolute nuclear performance there in week 16 and take you to that championship where anything can happen. The other running back on this list is Patriots running back TreVeyon Henderson, who gets really good draft capital as well, going early round 2, pick 38 to the New England Patriots. And right now in your leagues, you can get him at pick 58, and he's the running back 23. Now, Henderson, so when you're making your selections here, I mean, if you've been watching the channel, you'll probably know how I feel about some of these players, but you're kind of choosing to take him around the range of Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, Jamison Williams, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, Devontae Smith, Courtland Sutton, Joe Mixon, who we don't even really know what his status is, and then DJ Moore and DK Metcalf, kind of just low upside wide receivers. You should be smashing TreVeyon Henderson on your draft board every single time there. He has absurd upside, particularly in the passing game in New England. I was actually a bit surprised when they took him, just with all of the needs that New England has, but it started to make a lot more sense over time, particularly when the goal of this draft was protect Drake May and give Drake May more weapons. With TreVeyon Henderson, you deliver both. You check both of those boxes in one pick. Not only is he a weapon out of the backfield, he is the best pass protecting back in this class, potentially in like the past few classes. Just very good in on passing downs and protecting. He's not going to let Drake May get hit, and that's going to earn his way onto the field. I think the concern with Henderson and why he's not going earlier is because he is sharing this backfield with Ramondre Stevenson. And despite what you think about Ramondre as a player, he does have a pretty good contract right now with New England, so they may want to use him while they can. However, we know that Ramondre, more than anything, he has a fumbling problem, and Henderson does not. Henderson did not fumble the ball last season, and that's the biggest knock on Stevenson's game. This coaching staff under Mike Vrabel wants to come in and make this team competitive in as many ways as possible. And fumbling the ball doesn't win you football games. We all know that. So I think even if Ramondre is involved early on, just we were kind of talking about with Hampton, as the season progresses, I expect the rookie running back to get the bulk of the carries. And at that running back 23 price, you're still getting enough PPR, I think, production out of him to justify the draft selection. And then his upside is much higher than that. So again, I think the floor is at this running back 23, 24 range. I don't think he's going to be a low end RB2 by any means. I think he'll certainly outperform that and just get better as the year goes on. And if you're not familiar with TreVeyon Henderson's game, so he shared the backfield at Ohio State last season with Quinshon Judkins, and the team themselves gave them the comp of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, I don't want to say that Henderson is Gibbs, but that's the kind of workload and level of touches that we should expect to see from him, where he can very much run in between the tackles, but he's going to be an explosive playmaker. So while he may not have the volume of a guy like Hampton may have, the types of touches he's getting are going to matter, and he's going to be another machine on those passing downs. He'll I think in PPR leagues, he's going to absolutely smash there. And the team has said that they view him as a true 3-down running back. So it's really us as the fantasy community placing the ceiling on him, saying, oh no, you know, early on he won't be able to do that, when the team themselves have said otherwise. So I'm going to trust the staff, I'm going to trust the talent, and I'm going to take TreVeyon Henderson wherever I can get him at this price and win my fantasy leagues. Even today, just in one practice session in the red zone work, according to some beat reporters, 5 catches, 3 of those were receiving touchdowns, and he also added a rushing touchdown on the ground. I think TreVeyon Henderson is just a very talented player, and I can't wait to watch him. And honestly, I can't wait to watch this Patriots offense. In the playoffs, Henderson has some monster opponents, getting Buffalo, Baltimore, and then the New York Jets. Not as tough an opponent there. But the reason, like, Buffalo and Baltimore are very good defenses, but I think those are going to be games where the Patriots have to chase points. I do expect the Patriots team to be improved this season, but not to the point where they're going to be having a big lead on Buffalo or Baltimore. So if, let's say, worst case scenario, this is more of a split backfield than we expect, by the time the playoffs hit, I can only imagine that it's Henderson who they want on the field most of the game against Buffalo, and it's Henderson they want on the field most of the game against Baltimore. So I really expect him to give you really good production throughout the year in the receiving game. And then when the playoffs come, he's got some really fun matchups. So if he has earned the workhorse role on this team by then, he's going to just crush and win you your league. And the final name on this list, a player that I've talked about before, but it is Bears tight end Colston Loveland. And I'll preface this by saying I don't think there is a this year's Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a one-of-one prospect, you know, 2-time Mackey Award winner, and set basically every rookie receiving record as a tight end in year one. So I'm not here to spin the narrative that Loveland is this year's Brock Bowers. What I am here to say, though, by the way, repping my Brock Bowers shirt today, so, you know, very fitting to be talking a little bit about tight ends. The only way I would say that Loveland is similar to Bowers is that he's being drafted late and is going to be a much better tight end than where you are drafting him. So he's going at pick 112. He's going as tight end 13. So he's not even being drafted as a starting tight end in the majority of leagues. And I'm pretty comfortable with him as my tight end one walking out of a draft. I mean, this dude going in a range here, he's also going below defense. The Broncos defense has a higher ADP than Colston Loveland. But he's going below Jonnu Smith. He's going below Tucker Kraft. He's going below Najee Harris. He's going below Brandon Aubrey. I didn't even realize that the first time around. He's going below a kicker in ADP. And this is a prospect who just was selected with the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft. And his college prospect profile is pretty elite. He had a 34% college target share, the only tight end to ever do that, with only a 3.4% drop rate. And he had a 49.6 college dominator ranking. So he was in the 99th percentile of his college dominator. And he is now walking into a situation with Ben Johnson. And if you've been really keeping tabs on Bears camp, things aren't looking so pretty there with Caleb Williams. I'm still just of the belief that let's not overreact to, the clips we're seeing on Twitter. I think we're just better off if we avoid some of that narrative. But I do think Ben Johnson matters here because he will put his players in positions to succeed. And 2 seasons ago, he drafted Sam Laporta and he became the tight end 1 overall in fantasy points. So I don't think Loveland really could have a Bowers-like season, but if he were to have a path to being the tight end 1 overall, I think it would be a la what Sam Laporta did, where the bulk of the damage of that rookie season came from touchdowns. And I think Loveland can give you that. He's an excellent route runner. He's going to be a matchup nightmare. We know this Bears offense is loaded at other skills positions as well, which should just make things easier for Loveland over the middle, because he shouldn't be getting all of this extra attention just based on the receiving threats that are on this team. So I think when they get into the red zone, Ben Johnson's going to be creative and find ways to get Loveland the ball because he is 6'5", or he's 6'6", 6'6", 240. So he's a matchup nightmare there against some of those linebackers in the red zone. And they're really only running options in the red zone is DeAndre Swift, who Ben Johnson got rid of him in Detroit. So he's saying positive things about DeAndre Swift as he should as his coach, but his actions have shown otherwise in the past that's not, his preferred option in the red zone. And then they only have rookie Kyle Monangai, who is starting to get some first team reps in camp. And I think he's a good sleeper and a good player, but certainly not the go-to option that Ben Johnson's going to want to use. So I think Colston Loveland very much has double-digit touchdown upside this season, and you're just not taking any risk at all at this tight end 13 price. So if there were a Sam Laporta or Brock Bowers, give me Colston Loveland. And I know that there's other weapons there that you may be concerned about his target share, but I think things change quickly in the NFL draft, and he has great draft capital here. I don't think Ben Johnson takes him if he's not going to be a big part of their offense. So thanks for stopping by and listening to these prospects. I appreciate all the support with these rookie videos and across the channel. And it is so exciting that we are just so close to the regular season. I can't wait for more preseason football action in the upcoming weeks. So make sure you stick around. We'll be doing more rankings videos, strategy videos, and everything else that you could be looking for leading into the NFL season. So thanks for stopping by, and I will see you